Have to mention the age? I mean, can you just?
It's just a number.
It is.
Well, I heard from 70 is the new 40.
No, I would like to that. If I'm at 70 and still that, I'm happy.
And 40 was the year people told me, okay, now's when you start to fall apart. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that.
We don't say those things.
Oh, yeah. It started for me at 40.
Or my daughter, who's 36, I think she's so old. I'm going to be 40 really soon. Like.
But doesn't it seem weird for your child to be that age?
Yes.
To me, that seems odd.
My son
That's the other part.
Yeah.
Accept yourself
Yeah.
getting older,
My
but not
son
this.
You're like,
just
wow, you're
turned
almost
50.
40.
Yeah, that's right. Your son just turned 50.
He turned 50 now. That makes me feel.
Does he think he's an old man?
Oh no, he does yoga. He teaches yoga. He's a master. And that's why that's why we're here, because he had all kinds of problems. I mean, huge athletic problems that were going to put him for back surgery, and he is amazing.
Well, I'm a testimony for that.
There you go.
He's done amazing
Hey
stuff.
guys, I think that fan is on. If it bothers you, turn it off. I'm
Feels pretty good to
okay.
me. I like moving the air.
all right.
She's
Okay.
moving the air a lot.
I don't really think maybe anybody else is coming.
Yeah.
We could have turned the old
I
way.
figured you'd be packed in here.
Hi.
Hey,
Yeah.
So
You're so quiet.
this is good. Okay, we're gonna start. It is Tuesday, the 20th of July. Man, how time flies. And we're headed for real summer, it looks like, guys. Heat. After, today, maybe, and tomorrow, and then it's hot again.
Yeah.
So, get comfortable, and if you want to sit up on blankets too, take your time, let yourself shift around until you feel very equalized out between your sitting bones, and you can just lengthen upward through the top of your head. Eyes gently closed. Just feel the air around you for a second. Feel the space around you. Bring your awareness to watching your breath. Release your fingertips out onto the floor beside you here now, and let yourself feel even more open across your chest and your upper back. And we'll inhale the arms straight on out from our shoulders, and then bring your left arm on top of your right. Give yourself a hug. Let your elbows release down. Kind of hold where it's comfortable. And then just tilt your head a little bit to the left. Let your left ear come towards your left shoulder there. And then come on back up through the center and go to the other side. So you're just tilting your head just a little bit. And then release and come on back up. Now if you want to head towards a little bit more of a half eagle or an eagle wrap, you can. You can come into a full wrap or a half wrap, or you can stay hugging if you'd rather. If you are in that wrap, if your elbows can just slightly lift up and imagine your shoulders melting down. And then we'll release, bring the arms on down, and let the fingertips lightly touch the floor again. And then we'll inhale the arms straight on out again from our shoulders. We're going to bring the right arm on top of the left this time. Again, kind of find that best place for you to hug. And let's tilt our head to the right. Let your right ear come towards your right shoulder. And then rise on back up through center and go the other way. And then come on back up. And then again, if you decide you want to release a little deeper towards a half eagle wrap or a full eagle arm wrap there, you can. Or not. Remember, stay hugging if you'd rather. And then we'll unwind those arms. Let them come, again, fingertips out onto the floor beside you here now. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. And let's start to rock just forward and back a little bit here now. So letting yourself just really mindful. Let your hands come to where it's comfortable. Let yourself just start to feel that nice length of the spine as you exhale your way forward and inhale your way back up. And the next time you come forward, and you know this is all up to you, how far you want to go. You can put your hands out onto the floor. If you're in the chair, you can widen the stance if you want, come lower. Just take your time. You know you can walk as far out as you want. If it feels good to shift a little bit side to side, you can let yourself sort of sway just a little bit from side to side once you're out as far as you want to go. Once we come back into center, we're going to walk ourselves all the way on back up. And those of you who are cross-legged on the floor, let's switch our legs. So you can stretch them out if you need to. As you bring that other leg in front, just take your time. And then again, we're going to come into that breathing that brings us forward on our exhales and brings us back up as we inhale. So now, just take your time again. Linking that movement with your breath. And then again, the next time that you end up forward, take your time, let your hands give you support. You can go as far as you'd like, you know that. You can walk farther out with your hands or not. And again, that's shifting a little bit side to side. If that feels good, you can let yourself just come a little bit side to side. And once you come back to center, a nice full breath here. And then we'll slowly again walk ourselves on back up. Let's let our hands come on out beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And let's from here stretch our legs out. So even if you're in the chair, same thing. You can keep your knees bent a little bit, or do that. And then just move through your feet a bit, flexing and pointing. Let yourself just feel that ease of coming through the ankles. And when you're ready to circle, you can either circle in both feet going in the same direction, or you can go opposite, if that feels better. Or you can do a little bit of both. So just let yourself easily move through your ankles, your feet. Feel your toes wiggling a little bit here. We're going to make our way on around towards our hands and knees. So if you know you'd rather not be on your knees, don't be. Feel free to get a blanket to put under your knees, or to be up higher. You know, if you need to stand up and have your hands or your forearms on your, thighs, you can always do cat-cow standing. So be mindful, take your time, start to ease your way through. If your wrists are bothering you, pay attention. If you feel like you feel better off to be on your fists so that you don't have that wrist crease, go right ahead and enjoy flowing through the back here. Good. finish off the one you're on. Let's come to a more neutral spine. And now just see if you can do these belly rolls, where you think about, as you inhale, your belly drops down, you draw to the side the navel, and then exhale as the navel comes up towards the spine, and then you come down the other side. So the circles keep going in the same direction, and you can just let your head hang if you want, let yourself kind of look back at your knees, or you can stay looking between your hands, whatever feels best for your neck. And we're going to reverse directions. So wherever you feel like stopping, let yourself stop and then go the other direction with those circles of the navel. Kind of waking everything up there. And we'll finish off the one we're on, come to more neutral. And let's shift down onto our left forearm and let our right arm stretch overhead long. And put your forehead down on your left forearm there. And let yourself just shift your hips back a little bit. Just enjoy waking up a little more into your shoulders. Feel your chest mounting down towards the ground a little bit. And feel that pressure, gentle pressure, down into that left forearm and into your right hand. And if you want to shift back a little more with your hips, do it. You can find a little more length through that right long side there. And then we're going to come on up to bring our right hand on the floor so we can switch sides. So right forearm parallel to the front edge of your mat, reaching your left arm overhead, letting your forehead come down. Spread your fingers. Press gently down into that left hand. Feel your left elbow hugging inward a little bit. Feel that right forearm pressing down. Let your heart melt down. Let it feel good. Again, if you like, shifting your hips back a little further and feeling a little more side stretch through that left side, do. Good, and then we'll bring the left hand back so we can press up. And we're going to step our left foot forward and our right foot back to find a lunge here. So you know, if you'd rather use blocks under your hands, let yourself come onto the blocks or hands on the floor or the chair, it doesn't matter. And just be mindful here. Find that nice release through the back of that right leg. See if you can feel the feet just really gently pressing away from each other. Good, let's switch legs. So however you want to come to the other side. You can step backwards or forwards, or you can, jump between sides if you want to. So take your time. Again, think of really pressing the feet gently away from each other. Coming up into your hips. Good, we're going to switch again. This time, keep your right hand grounded. Bring your left hand on up to your left hip. Go ahead and roll that shoulder up. You can keep your hand there on your low back. If it feels really good to stretch your arm up, you can do that. Kind of depends on you what feels best here. And then coming on back down with that left hand, we're going to switch legs again. So again, really getting into that lunge, just the length that you want in your lunge, the height of your hands that feels good. And then bringing the right hand on up and letting yourself roll that right shoulder up. You can put your palm right down on your sacrum there, or you can stretch your arm up if you choose to, letting yourself feel a little more up into the shoulder there. Good. And then we'll come on back down with that hand. We're going to step forward, coming on into standing forward bend, and be very mindful, If you need to let your hands stay on your blocks or put your forearms there above your knees, on your thighs. Just be mindful of really being able to come into your forward bend without feeling any kind of stress in your back. You're welcome to release all the way, of course, and let your head hang if you're fine to do that. And just release into your breath. Really now, watch those breaths in and out. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Remember, your knees can be bent. You really don't want to lock your knees out, but you can have straighter legs without locking your knees. Good. We're going to let our hands come up to our hips. As we bend our knees, we'll rise straight on up. And let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. Let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts, coming into our mountain pose. So take your time, get your feet really just the distance apart that you like. And let your hands, for a second, turn your fingertips down so that they look towards the ground, all right? And you're kind of pressing, not harshly, but pressing gently into your hands. Go ahead and look down. Focus on your feet. So, you know, you're kind of looking beyond your hands. See whatever part of your feet you can see down there. Lift your toes up for a second. Make sure you're not rolling, all right, to the inside or the outside of your feet. You can really kind of look at your toes and kind of tell. And then let your toes release on back down. Bend your knees slightly. Press down into your feet like you're pushing the floor away from you. And then on your next inhale, rotate your thumbs inward towards your chest as you bring your gaze forward. Coming on into your mountain pose, whether your eyes are opened or closed. Letting your gaze come on out. So you're looking at the horizon. Feeling equal between your feet here now. And feeling the floor underneath your feet. And then feeling the top of your head reaching up towards the ceiling. Just make sure you're not tucking your tailbone under you. You're reaching your tailbone down towards between your heels. And then as we unfold our arms right on down beside us, we're going to inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, as we bend our knees, come on forward with that flat back. And then as you keep on going, you decide if you need support underneath your hands or support underneath your elbows. And let your next inhale lengthen your spine. So find that nice long flat back here. We're going to step our right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Spread those fingers wide. Take your time. Do whatever you need to do to get into your dog. If you like to walk or wag your tail or look at your hands, remember, you know, you always want to make sure your hands are pretty equal there. You don't want one turned out a lot more than the other. Think about pointer fingers being about parallel to each other. And then feel your hands on the mat there. Make sure you're not rolling towards the outside edges of your hands. You're really feeling your thumbs and your pinkies, your ring fingers, your middle fingers, and your pointer fingers. And let the next inhale bring you out to plank. So have fun a little bit. Bend one knee at a time slightly here in your plank without dropping the pelvis, right? So you're still kind of keeping your toes curled under. And you're just barely letting yourself bend one knee and then the other. Nice and strong in the core. Good. Finish off in full plank. To lower down, you know you're welcome to put your knees down. You can go through a full push-up if you'd rather. Coming down to the floor. And keep your head down. Release your arms down alongside you. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, float just your head and your chest up a little bit. Just a little bit. So you're using your back body. You're keeping your belly firm. And then lower your head back down. See if you can now lift just your legs up. So inhale, point your feet. Really point your feet. Feel that stretch in the tops of the feet there. And then bring the legs back down. We're going to bring our hands beside our chest. And come on up and do a little cobra. Or keep on going up if you want to go fully up into a cobra. Do. And then from here, we'll come all the way on back down to the floor. We're going to come back into down dog, whether you come through a half or a full push-up. Making your way back into your dog. And this time we will bring our right foot forward to find lunge. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And be mindful, whatever you need to do for your back. If you like to hold your elbows, go for it. If you need to put support underneath your hands or under your forearms, do it. And then be aware of the weight of your head. And really release now all through your face. Let go of your jaw. And as we let let our hands come on back up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms. Bring your hands behind you and clasp your hands together back there. Now, don't clasp your palms. Just let your fingers interlace, right? And then as you inhale, let the hands come a little off your back. And as you exhale, let them come back down so they touch again. So inhaling, and it's up to you if they come like an inch or several inches away. And exhale, let them come back down. So inhaling again, arms and hands come away a little. And as you exhale, let them touch again. This time, let your hands stay. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, bend your knees and come on forward. Stay when your back is parallel to the floor. Now you can bend, keep your knees bent if you need, definitely. Reach back through your tailbone and your sitting bones. You're looking straight down at the ground. Let yourself kind of imagine your heart melting a little more down towards the ground. And then on your next exhale, if you want to continue to fold over your legs, do. If not, don't do it. And you can release your arms off your back wherever you are if it's possible. Depends on your shoulders whether they'll do that or not. And one more breath here. And then let your arms release, hands on down towards the ground. Inhale into that long back. And we're going to exhale, step left foot back into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Walk your dog a little bit. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. If it feels good to turn your head side to side when you're walking, by all means do it. It's just kind of a natural way to release the neck sometimes when you're bending a knee at a time, to just turn and look to the right and then to the left. And then come on back into your full dog. Let's let our next inhale bring us out to plank. And we are going to lower down. So again, you can put your knees down first if you'd rather. Elbows right by the ribs. Then let's come into a little cobra. Now you can stay low or you can keep right on going up. That depends on you. Totally up to you where you go into that cobra pose. And then we'll release to come on back down. We're going to make our way back to down dog again, however you choose to get there. Hands and knees or half or full push-up. And we will bring our left foot forward this time to come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Again, be mindful. If you're able to cross your wrists and slip your fingers underneath the arches of your feet. So your thumbs are on top of your feet. And not everybody will want to do this, right? And if you can kind of press the tips of your fingers up into the arch of the feet there, arches of the feet, it'll be maybe a little bit, iffy. But if it feels tight, if you can just keep that pressure a little bit and let yourself breathe into where you need it. Just be mindful. If your back doesn't like this, obviously you never go all that far down. One more breath here. And then we'll release our hands back up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise up to standing. They might be more awake now. Inhale your arms out and up. And on your exhale, come on into a little chair pose with your hands to your heart. Let yourself shift back with your hips. Bring your gaze maybe 6, 8 feet in front of you on the ground. And then if you're able, bring the arms on up by your ears. Turn your pinkies down towards the ground. Let yourself come into your chair pose here. And now clasp your hands overhead. Start to press into your feet. Stand up and turn your palms out away from you. You can be right directly overhead, or you can have your arms forward. Some of you may even want to start to lift your chin up and look up towards your hands if that feels good. One more inhale. And as you exhale, release your arms. We're going to come on forward into standing forward bend. Let yourself inhale into a long back. Exhale, right foot back to lunge as we move with our breath. Inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog. Let your inhale bring you to your plank, and your exhale will lower you down. And inhale into your cobra of choice. And exhale back to your downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way up to the top. And on the exhale, we're going to come on forward again. Inhale, nice long back. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward dog. Inhaling your way out to plank. Exhaling as you lower. And inhale into your cobra. And exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising again all the way up. And let your exhale carry you forward. Inhale, long back. We're going to come into down dog. So make your way into your downward facing dog pose however you want. Wag your tail a little bit, walk your dog, bend your knees if you'd like. Play a little bit in your dog, you know, let your body kind of do what it likes. So then when you come into your full dog, feel those elbows hugging in, feel your hands equal on the floor. Let yourself just enjoy, kind of letting the breath get back to normal. And we are going to bring our left foot forward from here. We're coming up for warrior one. And do have your blocks handy here, if you have them by the front of your mat. Let yourself bring yourself slowly up. Once you get your gaze forward, let your back foot, adjust to where it needs to go. And let your arms hang. Kind of wiggle your arms around a little bit, actually. Shake your hands out a little bit. Wiggle around through your fingers. And then really feel the weight of your arms. Let yourself feel very equal between your feet. Equal all the way up through your legs into your hips. Enjoy the openness in the front of that right hip there. And then on the next inhale, we're going to reach the arms forward, rise them up overhead. Now you can have them closer together above your shoulders. You can open into a wider V if that feels better. Let yourself feel that lift right at the base of your shoulder blades. And enjoy energy all the way up through the fingertips. One more breath. And then from here, bring your gaze on back forward. Straighten your front leg out first. Try to draw that right hip pointer around. If you need to kind of adjust the angle of the back foot, do. And then lower the arms on down beside you. Turn your palms to face inward, to face each other. And start to reach your hands back as you come forward with that long, flat back. Towards pyramid pose, right? And if you, without putting your hands down, don't want to go very far, don't. You can stay up higher. You can go more parallel to the floor. Reach back through those fingertips if you can. Feel equal through the sides of your body. And then go ahead and lower your hands down, whether you want to use the floor or the blocks for your pyramid pose. If you need to adjust your stance a little bit once you get there, do it. Feel your thighs engaging up towards the hips. If you want to go ahead and bow over your leg, by all means do. If it feels better to you to stay more lengthened through your spine, then do that, right? So not adding that. Sometimes when you fold over, there's that curve in your low back. So some people that's fine, others not so much. So one more breath here. And then come up enough, bring your hands to the blocks if you have them there, and go ahead and release into a full lunge. So you're letting yourself release all the way back through that inner right heel. Add a little twist, whether you want to bring your left hand to your hip or stretch the arm overhead, or maybe you want to bring your right elbow to your left knee and do twisted prayer. Either one. And then bring your hand on back down. We're going to walk our hands to the inside of that left front foot and turn our left toes out slightly so the toes are actually looking towards the left front corner of our mat, right? Now you can go down lower onto your forearms here. You can keep your hips up higher if you need to. You can let yourself, kind of shift the hips down if that feels good. You can go as low as you want, even to the ground if you want. And now we are going to lower that right knee down to the floor. So however you need to do that, letting that knee, if you need to grab a blanket to put underneath it, do. And let yourself, again, you can stay up on blocks, you can stack blocks, and get out of your hands, right? And be up on your forearms and not go so low. So if it feels good to go low, go low. If it feels better to stay up higher, stay up higher. Good. One more breath here. And now we're going to shift our hips back, and you might want to put your blocks one on either side of that left front leg here now, or your hands on the floor. And then shift your hips back and straighten that left leg out. So you're coming into the hamstring of your left leg here. The toes are facing up. You're more than welcome to fold farther over that front leg, or you can stay up pretty high and still get a lot of stretch in your hamstring here by drawing the heel back towards you, pressing into the ball of your foot there. Anybody want to go towards a split, you're more than welcome to do that. So if it feels good to slide that left foot forward some and come down a little bit towards a split, you can do that, but it's not necessary, and you know it. Just be where you can. Stay where you were if that feels better. And then from here, we're all going to bring both knees on back. Come into child's pose for a second. If you need to stay forward on your forearms, do by all means. Or you can shift your hips back towards your heels. Let yourself breathe into your low back a little bit. And then stretch your arms out overhead. We're going to come on up to all fours, and we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Good. Walk a little bit in your dog. Let yourself release one leg at a time in your down dog. Good. And then we'll come on out towards that plank. Now remember what we did earlier, that little walking of the plank. See if you can do that. But really, don't make it a deep bend. You're just bending one knee and then the other, staying really strong in your core. It's actually a lot harder than it seems. And then finish off. And we're going to come down to the mat. So you can put your knees first if you want. Let's come down. And let's actually all go into a Sphinx pose. Bringing your elbows under your shoulders. Spread your fingers wide. Bring your gaze between your hands here now. Let yourself just enjoy gently opening up through the front of the body here. And be mindful of your neck. So, you don't want to lift your chin up and do that and feel that sort of tightness, what it does to your neck and your throat. Good. And then we're going to release. Bring our hands by our chest. Now, you can come up into another cobra here, or if you want to curl your toes under, lift your knees up, you can come to an up dog if you choose to. We are going to make our way back into down dog from here. So once you get back to your down dog, you're on your own. If you want to do a vinyasa or a kriya another couple or 3 or 4 times, go right for it. You can come out to plank, move through to your up dog, or you can stay in your dog. Be mindful, take your time. Don't overdo. Put your knees down if you need. Good. And let's meet back in down dog. And this time we are going to bring our right foot forward. We're coming up for that warrior one. So again, blocks if you know you like them for pyramid and all that's coming, right? So be mindful as you get yourself on up and get your shoulders there square to the front of the mat. Get that back foot comfortable, so the turnout of that back foot is really up to you. Let your arms hang. Again, kind of wiggle your hands around a little bit, move through your fingers. Feel each finger in your thumbs, and then let your arms feel heavy, but as they feel heavy, make sure you're not feeling heavy this way, right? Rounding forward. But it's like there's a string attached to your sternum that's being drawn forward a little bit. And let's add those arms, rising forward and up. And how wide you bring the arms, totally up to you. Wide V is fine. If you can feel that lift at the base of your shoulder blades, feel the feet equal in the floor. Enjoy the openness through the front of that left hip. Just feel your whole body here in your warrior one. Good. One more breath. And then let your gaze come back forward. Lower your arms down, and we're going to straighten that front knee out. Now you're going to try to draw that left hip pointer around. Try to get your hips square. You might have to adjust your feet. And then as your arms come down, face palms inward, and then reach your hands back and start to it's almost like your chest leads you forward at first. And then you come into your pyramid wherever you want to be. You don't have to go low. Feel your hip pointer bones drawing towards each other. Feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. You can go as low as you want without your hands, but man, oh man, when you need to put them down, you need to put them down. So when you're ready to put your hands down to a surface, you might need to adjust your stance a little bit too. So once you get your hands down, take your time. Feel your thighs engaging up towards your hips. If you like to bow, keep going forward to bow over that front leg, you can. Just enjoy feeling all that space in your knees by lifting upward with your thighs. Yes, good. One more breath. And then we're going to come up enough so that we can bend that front knee and find a lunge now. So now you want to release that left heel directly behind your foot. To add your twist of choice, it is totally up to you. Left hand can stay on block or floor, right hand to your right hip. You can roll the shoulder up, you can stretch your arm up, or you can bring your left elbow over across to that right knee if you want to do a twisted prayer. So be where you can. Good. And then let yourself bring your right hand on back down. And again, we're going to walk our hands to the inside of that right front foot and turn the toes out a little bit towards the right front corner of your mat. Now, how low you want to go down? I mean, you may go, well, I don't want to go any lower. I'm staying right where I am. Or you can stack blocks up, get out of your hands and be on your forearms and be almost as high. Or you can go down lower to the blocks, really, you know, the lowest, or all the way to the floor if you want. This is totally up to you, how you manage to come into the front of your hip here, how low you want to go. And then it's that lowering of that back knee. Sometimes for me, I have to come up to put the knee down. It feels better that way. And then I want to bring myself lower. So, you know, be mindful. Really just pay attention to your own body. You can come down to blocks on your forearms again. You can come down lower to the floor if you want. Once that knee is down, sometimes it makes it easier. And man, oh man, it's a huge stretch for the front of that left hip, isn't it? Oh, it feels so good. Press into the top of the left toes. So you're engaged a little bit as you're there. And now, to come up, you may want to use your blocks because you do want to walk to either side again of that front right foot so that you, when you shift your hips back, you're evened out in your hips when you straighten that right leg out and you come out over the leg. So there you are in the hamstring. And you know, some people don't want to bend that left knee very much. You don't have to. You can have your foot farther forward and bring yourself out over that leg without bending deeply in that left knee that you're on. In other words, everybody has to pay attention to their own knee. And of course, if you like to go farther towards a split, you're more than welcome to. You know, you've got your blocks there. And if you slide your leg out further and you're up high, you still support yourself. You hold yourself there, and you can go lower if you want, or you can stay up higher because you've got control. You have your hands there to control how low you go with your hips, in other words. Good. So one more breath. And now to bring that knee back, that's the issue. Come on back again. Make your way into your child's pose again if you can. Again, you can stay more forward to your forearms if you need to. And then see if you can walk your hands over to the left and go as far as you want and then stay there for a few breaths. Let your breath come into your right ribs. And then come back through center and walk over to the right. And again, go as far as you want. Once you get kind of set there, release your head so you're not tensing up your neck, and then just breathe into that left side. Nice. And then we're going to come back into center, and we are going to come up to all fours again, and we'll make our way back into down dog. So lifting the knees up, and really feel like down dog's a huge stretch right now. Reach your way back and really press out of your hands. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. And then walk your dog a little bit. You can even go to the top of one foot at a time so you stretch out the tops of the feet a little bit. And then you're on your own. You want to do a vinyasa or kriya, go for it. You can do, you know, just coming out to your plank. You don't even have to do a back bend if you don't want. You You can stay in down dog. You can move through from your plank to an up dog or not, remember? Let it feel good. Let it feel like whatever you choose to do, just you're comfortable in your body and doing it, right? Good. And then we'll meet back again in downward facing dog pose. And from here we'll bring our left foot forward. And we're coming up for warrior two this time. So again, you might want to have your blocks there just in case you need them. Line up your heels, bend into that front knee, and see if you can actually look at your left knee and bend and straighten a little bit. And if you can lift your toes up and keep your toes up while you bend and straighten, and so you make sure that not only is the knee lined up, but you're not, rolling on your foot either way. It's pretty intense, actually, if you leave your toes up. And then go ahead, bend the knee, let your toes softly come on back down to the floor, and maybe it feels really better that way. And let's start to reach out through long arms, letting your palms face down. Just your typical warrior two arms here. Reaching out through the fingertips, letting your shoulders melt down. Feel the feet pressing away from each other on the mat gently, so your hips feel amazing. And then bring your right arm down, fold it behind you if you can, turn your left palm up, and inhale, reach up or even behind yourself a little bit. Breathing into the left ribs. And on your next exhale, come on into your side angle. So your forearm or your hand onto your thigh. Look down for a second. If you have your forearm on your thigh, turn your left palm up towards the ceiling. Spread your hand really nice and wide. And then from there, go ahead and turn your gaze to look towards the long edge of your mat. And now, let your right arm come all the way in front of you. Swing it in front of your chest. And then up into wherever your arm can go. In line with the right side of the body if you can. Or if it needs to go up higher, up towards the ceiling, by all means do it. So, press gently into that left hand or forearm. Let yourself find that outer left hip drawing back a little bit. Beautiful. Long line down the right side of the body. Now turn to look at the floor. We're going to bring our hands down to find lunge. You can use blocks if you want. And from there, we're going to walk around into a wide-legged forward bend. So you can use your blocks under your hands if you want to. Let them be like extensions. Get your feet pretty parallel. Go ahead and get your stance established there. And then bend a knee at a time. Take your time as you come from one side to the other. It's almost natural to do that for most of us. Some people's knees say, there's nothing natural about bending in this position. So don't do it if it bothers your knees. And then when you're ready, come on back into center there. Bend both your knees a little bit. Let your hands walk out, whether you're on blocks or on the floor, like you're doing a down dog. But bring your hands a little bit wider. Let your elbows hug inward. Let your chest melt down a little more towards the ground. So actually, if you're up on blocks, it almost gets more intense in your shoulders, right? But it is a back bend. It's in the upper back there. Take your time. One more breath. And then go ahead and settle into your pose, wherever you want yourself to set up. Either hands coming back to the traditional between the feet, hips distance apart, and let your elbows hug inward, or you can hold on to your ankles if you want to. If it feels better to stack blocks up or to be on a block with your forearms so that you're forward and your back is lengthened, by all means do that. Elbows above the knees is another good one. But just breathe. So all you need to do is watch your breath. Let the pose do the rest. All you do is breathe and watch. One more breath. Let your face soften. And from here, we're going to walk our way back towards that left foot, coming on back into lunge. And we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose from here. Once you're here, let your feet come a little closer together. Bring your right leg up in the air behind you, three-legged dog. And then bend your right knee and open your hip. So you may want to look under your right arm a little bit. Think of stacking your right hip on top of your left. If you want more in your quad, pull your right heel in towards your buttocks more. So you're reaching up into that knee if you want more in that quad a little bit. And then stretch it long, turn the toes down. We're going to bring the foot down and we're going to do the other leg. Left leg comes up. First the hips are square. And then bend your knee as you think of stacking your left hip on top of your right. You can look under your left arm again. If you feel good to be there, stay there. If you feel like you want to pull and bend the left knee deeper, you can pull the heel in towards your buttocks a little bit, and there's your quad stretch more. And then stretch your leg long, turn your toes back down, put the foot back down on the floor, and do whatever you feel exactly like doing right now, right? So if you want to come out to a plank, if you feel like coming into child's pose, if you want to do back bends and all, kriyas or vinyasas, you may move through how feels good. Good. And then finish off, meet back in down dog. We're going to go to the other side here. So bringing that right foot forward and coming on up into that warrior two. And again, take your time. Get your heels lined up. And that bending and straightening thing, right? If you can find the lift of the toes, there's the arch up, right? There's your, as best you can. Even if you have flat feet, when you bring your toes up, there's still a lift in the arch. And then when you bend and straighten that knee, man, it tells you a whole lot. You can tell more if you're rolling towards one side of the foot or not when you bend and straighten with the toes up. And then finish off so that you have the knee bent and just softly the toes come down. You realize how important they are right there, right? And then we'll float our arms on up and out. Bring your gaze out over the top of that right hand. Feel your shoulders soften down. Feel as open as you can across your chest and across your upper back, right? So you feel very equal between the front and the back of your body here. And we're going to go ahead and bring our left arm down, fold it behind us, turn our right palm up, and inhale. Reach up towards the sky or back even farther if you want. A full breath into the right side. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle. So it can be your hand or it can be your forearm. If you have your forearm down above your knee, turn your right palm up and spread your hand really wide and press down into that forearm. Draw your outer right hip back. And then you can turn your gaze to look towards the long side of your mat. And if you can swing that left arm on up in front of you and then into line with that left side of the body, let yourself turn your left pinky down a little bit. Make sure that you're feeling that sense of really that long side of the body, but also the underside of your body, so you're not collapsing. Drawing that outer right hip back. Beautiful. One more breath. And now turn to look at the floor, and we're going to come back to a lunge. Now, you just briefly, remember we're walking around to a wide-legged forward bend. So once you start walking, see if you can kind of adjust your feet rather quickly and keep walking over towards your left foot. So either both legs are straight or both legs are equally bent. Bring yourself on over, stay there for a couple of breaths, as close as you want to be to that leg, and then come on back through center and walk on over towards the right. Again, you may not want to be that close. You can be in front of your foot, you can be up on blocks, you can walk over, draw yourself towards your leg more if you want to. Good. And then walk on back into center. And now let's walk out like we're coming to a plank with our feet way wide like this. So walk out, got lots of room today. Shift down so you got your hips down like you're doing a plank. Now you can bend your elbows, do little push-ups if you'd like. Let yourself really come into your arms a little bit more. And then come on back to long arms, and we're going to walk back again. So shift your hips back, get your heels on down, walk your hands on back. If you need to move around a little bit more before you come into your pose to stay with your breath, do. And just be mindful once you do come into the pose to be with your breath. Remember, you don't want to feel any kind of stress. So if you need anything to help you with support, use your blocks where you need them. Under your forearms, under your head. Full deep breaths. Let yourself imagine you're releasing in those little spaces between your breaths, that you're just totally relaxing there. It's almost like you get lost in those little spaces between your breaths. We're going to walk our hands now back out enough so we can walk back to the right foot. And from here, we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. And again, this is your final time to do what you want with vinyasas or kriyas. So if you're like, I don't want to do anything but put my knees down, then by all means do that. Take your time. Good. And finish off the one you're on if you can and meet back in down dog. And then from here, we're going to come forward. Whether you want to jump or walk your way, you can bend your knees, look up between your hands, and decide how you want to come on forward, getting your feet hips distance apart and parallel. Let yourself release there for a breath. And then let's bring our hands up to our hips, bend our knees, press into our feet, and come on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together, but really lengthen up through the top of your head. Feel your feet equal in the floor. If you want to shift around a little bit, if you need to find your center by swaying, you know, it's kind of good to sway a little bit, side to side, front to back. And then just be easy, be mindful, feel really like you're being held up by the air around you, so you're not forcing your mountain. Mountain should feel really effortless in a way, like you're just part of the space around you. Nice. We're going to let our arms come on down, shake out a little bit, walk around if you need to. We're going to bring our mats into a wall. So bring your mat on in. Take your time. Let's get a block. And let's turn with our left hand towards the wall. And have the block on the floor lowest height. We're going to do a little tree pose on the block, okay? And even if you hate it, just try it for a second. And then if you're like, I'm not doing this anymore, you can step off of it. But step your left foot up on the block. And see, at first, have your right foot right under your hip, press into your left foot, and just get yourself up onto the block. And then put the right foot back down a few times. And you can have your hand on the wall. Just let yourself press into the block, come up, and then put the right foot down, and let yourself press up again. Come back down. It really energizes, if you can call it that. Very lot of work in that left leg. You're going to feel it in your thigh. If you did like 30 of these every day, let me tell you, you talk about, you know, really good work for your knees. It's a good one. And then finish off up on the block if you can. And bring your right foot in for tree pose. So it's really hard when you're on a block like this to turn out too much in your foot because, you know, there's narrow space. You can bring the foot up as high as you want or as low as you want. And you can decide if you want to bring your left arm up the wall, if it feels fun to bring your arms overhead. If you feel like you need to keep your hand on the wall because you are up like, you know, 4 inches off the floor. Enjoy feeling taller. You know what I like to do sometimes is just be close enough to the wall to put my left elbow in the wall when my hands are in prayer. I'm not close enough right now, but If you are, that's kind of fun, so that you don't have to use your hand, but your elbow can just be there. If you don't like it, come down, really, truly. And we are all going to come down, whether you like it or not, because we're going to turn to the other side. So, right foot's on the block. Again, at first, try that little bit of if you have a block at home, if you do this, truly, straighten that right leg out so the left foot comes off the floor. Feel the strength that you're developing right there in your legs, just by lifting, pressing and coming up with the left foot, putting it back down, and back up, and back down. Feel around your knee, right? So the strengthening process there is big. And then finish off up on the block. Bring your left foot in, maybe to your calf. Remember, you want to keep your hips level. Maybe you want to bring that foot up to your inner thigh. Again, maybe you want to just keep your hands to your heart. Let yourself, if your elbow's close enough to the wall, you can put your elbow to the wall and just be there. Or you can bring your arms up overhead. And you can play a little bit, come down if you need to, readjust. If you don't want to be on the block, just move it out of the way and do your tree from the floor if you'd rather, by all means. Good. And then from here, we're going to let ourselves come on down. And move your block out of the way. Come on down to the floor. Let your feet be behind you. We're going to be really all the way down onto our bellies and come into a little sphinx pose at first with our elbows underneath our shoulders. Let yourself just enjoy. Spread your fingers out a little bit. And then go ahead and clasp your, well actually if you'd rather do a forearm or a half forearm plank with your arms like that, hands down on the floor and your arms parallel, do it. If you'd rather clasp your hands and send your pinky out, if you'd rather bend your knees and come up into a forearm plank there, or maybe you want to lift up and come into a full forearm plank. So if you like your hands separated, you can keep your forearms parallel. If you like to move a little bit, you can be like you're sawing a log. You can press into your toes and go forward and back, which really uses the core, but also, it really, you can feel your shoulders doing that. And if you're like, oh my goodness gracious, I'm not doing any more of those, just stop whenever you want. And we're going to come on down, and we're going to stretch. Let's stretch our right arm long overhead and roll onto your right side. Let yourself get straightened out. So you want to make sure that you feel like you're really like in mountain pose on your side. If you want to bring your left hand up to your hip, you can, or you can keep your left hand on the floor, because we're going to bring that left foot up like we're doing tree pose on our side here. So bring yourself into that left foot to the inside of the right leg and press into the outside edge of your right pinky toe on the floor. There you go. That engages. It helps you balance. And then if you want to, you can use your left hand to draw the left knee in towards your shoulder. You can even extend that leg up into Anatasana if you want to. You can hold on behind or in front of the leg. You can reach up for your foot or your toe if you want. So, that is totally optional. You can stay with your knee bent like you're in your tree pose. Or you can come into really the only sideline yoga pose there is right here. So if you press into the outer edge of that right foot, whichever one of these you're doing, you'll really be able to stabilize a little bit better. One more breath. And now if your foot's up there, bend the knee, bring the leg back into that tree pose. And then we're going to extend the leg back long, right? Now we're back into like mountain on your side. And then from here, we're going to roll right back onto our belly. Come on into that plank pose, forearm plank or half plank again if you can for a couple of breaths. Like you're resting in plank. Doesn't that feel good? Oh, this feels good. You can saw the log if you want. Go back and forth if that feels good. Good. There's your belly, there's your low back, there's your hips. We're gonna come down and we're gonna go to the other side. So again, it's like you find a mountain. Everybody was really well aligned on that other side. So your feet are right under your hips. Bringing the right foot up from tree or, sideline tree. Again, if you like to bring your right hand onto your hip, you can, or you can keep your right hand on the floor, but press into the outside edge of that left pinky toe. And now this drawing the right knee in towards your shoulder, you can bring your hand to your knee and just bring the knee in. Keep pressing into the outside edge. If you want to extend the leg up long, you can. You can rotate your heel of that right foot forward. If you've got the leg extended, you can hold the inside or the outside of the leg. You can hold the foot. Feel that outward hip rotation there. Feel your belly working. I love this pose. It's also great, good pose for your back, your low back. We're going to go ahead and bend the knee again. Come back like you're doing your tree for a breath. And then extend the leg back long. There you are back into like mountain. And we're going to roll ourselves on back onto our bellies again. And then from here, come on into a little locust pose. Reach your fingertips and your toes back towards the wall behind you. Let yourself come up only as high as you want, right? And now if you'd rather come down and do bow pose, you're more than welcome to come down, or come down and just rest if you'd rather. And if you'd like to get hold of the tops of the feet, pull your heels in for a second towards your buttocks so that you really get into opening up the quads. Then you can push the feet into your hands and come up into your bow if you want. Totally up to you if you even do this one. Stay in locust pose if you'd rather, or keep your knees bent and just come up onto your forearms a little bit. There's a bow pose. You don't have to reach back and get your feet. Good. And then we're going to release down and we're going to shift back towards pose of a child. Now once you get towards pose of a child, take a breath there. We're going to do one more thing while we're right here because it's just so close. You probably have your toes pretty close to the wall. When you can get your toes to the wall, go ahead and come onto your forearms, clasp your hands, send your pinky out, and come on up into a dolphin for a couple of breaths at least. If you're like, I am about done, don't do anything else. But if you want to bring a leg up the wall, or you want to bring both legs up the wall, or you want to come down, go onto your hands instead of being on your forearms, by all means do. Might feel pretty good, actually, to come into a dolphin after all of that. Or it might be that you're like, I am done. So if you want to play with any inversion, you're welcome to turn around if you want to. Be where you can. Come down whenever you want, you know that. And remember, if you're on your forearms, you do not want your head on the ground. You're pressing into those forearms and letting yourself think about releasing between the shoulder blades on your back. Good. And when you're ready to rest, you can either rest in child's pose. If you prefer to sit up, if you like to sit, on your heels and let your heels come apart, your big toes come together, you can lean back into the wall a little bit if that feels good. You can be a little farther away if you want, or you can be forward, right, into your child's pose. Everybody feels different after an inversion, whether they want to have their head up or feel better to have themselves into that forward bend. And from here, we are going to come all the way on around to sitting. So however you get there, it depends on how you are to get to sitting. So come around to bring your legs in front of you. And then come forward enough to where when you lie back down, you're not going to be hitting anything, move anything behind you, and you're not going to hit your head on the wall if you were to go right back down from here. And then let's just play with a little boat pose before we go down. So walk your feet back a little bit. Come onto the balls of your feet if you can. So your toes are on the floor, the balls of your feet are on the floor, but your heels are lifted up a little bit. And then hold on to your legs and lean back. Now you can hold separately your legs behind your thighs here, or you can clasp your hands if that feels even better. Feel how you engage your belly right there so much that it feels kind of easy to lift your feet up and get your lower legs parallel to the floor. Flex your feet. Feel the outside edges of your big toe mounds pressing together. And you know, if this hurts you, don't do it. Put your feet back down and play a little bit where you can. And if you like to stretch your legs long, you can stretch your legs long. Keep holding behind your legs, or go up higher on your legs if you want to, or go all the way to your feet, right? And if you need to keep the knees bent, keep the knees bent. You can play. And that's why we stay far enough away from the wall where if we roll backwards, we don't bang our heads into the wall. Okay, so come back again to feet down for a second. Sit up for a second. And we're going to do the same thing. Now, you don't have to do this part. If it bothers your back, do not even think about doing it. So if you can come out, let go of your legs, and start to lengthen your legs, but come down with your body into a half boat. Using the belly here, really engaging your belly. And you can go as low as you want before you go down to the floor. Right? You can stay there a little bit, or you can go, oh, good grief, and come all the way down when you're ready. And once you get down, bring your right knee into your chest. It should feel really good. Let yourself, you know, for a second, pull the knee in so your low back melts to the ground. But then start to push the leg back into your hands so your arms come straight and you have that natural curve in your back. And then hold behind your thigh, lengthen the leg up like you're putting a footprint on the ceiling. Now that right leg doesn't need to be straight, but it can. We're going to stretch our right arm out beside us. Let your left hand draw that leg over to the left so you're coming into twist. Now you can decide how far you want to go, how long you want that leg to be. I mean, if you want to reach over with your left hand and get your right foot, you can. You know, that's a really deep twist there. You know, if you want to put your hand on your knee, or if you want to just stretch your arms out on the floor and let the leg be what, you know, just the weight of your leg coming over. Might be enough. It's your twist. Be where you can be. It can be bent knee and just coming a little bit across the midline. You don't have to make it a drastic twist. One more breath. And then come on back. Bend the knee as you come back. Knee to the chest again. And then we're going to switch to bring the left knee in. Extend your right leg down long on the floor. And at first, really let yourself relax. Pull the knee in towards like your outer ribs a little bit. Let the low back melt to the ground. And then when you start to press the leg into the hands and your legs come straighter, there's your curves in your back there. And then hold behind your thigh, let the foot come up like you're putting a footprint on the ceiling. It doesn't mean that you have to straighten the leg out. You can if your leg comes straight and that feels good. But then stretch your left arm out beside you, and your right hand is going to draw either your knee or your leg over to the right so you come into that twist on the other side. And again, you may decide you just barely want to move the knee across the midline. You may want to reach for your foot. You may want to just let your arms not do anything and just let the leg come over without the weight of your hand. In other words, again, it is your twist. And you all in here know well enough what feels good to you. So take your time and just breathe. Mindful as you ease your way when you're ready back into center. And when you do get there, what does your body want to do right away? I mean, you know, do you feel like coming into happy baby, or maybe you just feel like bringing your feet to the floor, letting your knees come side to side. Maybe you want to do a bridge pose. There are any number of things right now that that your body might want to do. So take your time. It's starting to get light as we settle down a little bit, but if you need to do any other pose, I mean, you might need to do a cow pose, or you may, decide you'd really like to do another form of a twist that's not so intense, or another hip release. Figure 4 with your legs. And as I start to move around, I also would love to bring anything that would help you for support. Remember, you have the wall back there. If anybody wants to use the wall to lie with your legs up the wall, maybe there's a bolster underneath your knees, maybe that idea sounds good. But wave at me if it does. Wave. A wave of everything. Hands, feet. Whole body wave. Yeah, I didn't miss that one. So if you need to move your arms or legs to a different place, if you're not comfortable to have your arms out beside you with your palms up, adjust how you need to. Same thing for your legs, Most people, when you let your hips go, your feet turn pinky toe a little more down towards the ground, but not everybody needs to do that. So just relax into the ground. Enjoy that gravity is holding you there now, and you can just appreciate how you feel after all the yoga you just did. And just be with your own breath now, watching your breaths as they come in and go out. Yourself, you do kind of get lost in those little quiet places, just like you kind of do that in those spaces between your breaths. And just give yourself the gift of these few minutes to allow your body to benefit how you need from all you just did. Allow yourself to completely and fully relax. Gently now, let yourself easily bring your awareness back to feeling the ground underneath you, supporting you again. Allow your breaths to come in and go out more fully and deeply. Letting those deeper breaths start to bring energy back to you gradually so that moving feels kind of easy, starting with your fingers, your toes, your hands, your feet. You know, you move on up into your arms, your legs, and move the way that feels good for you. So take your time to stretch or bend, and if you like rolling onto either your right or your left side, you know you're welcome to come onto your side anytime. You can stay there for a bit and give yourself a little bit of time to adjust there. And of course, when you feel good to rise up, let yourself just float your way up so that it feels very easy, even the coming up to sitting part, letting your eyes stay closed and getting yourself comfortable in the way you're sitting so that you can lengthen up through the top of your head very easily, and you can feel light in your head and really easy in your hips and your shoulders. Coming back to your breath. And on your next exhale, letting your hands come gently to meet there in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.